Well, hello, everyone. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Remauro, and we have a show for you. Oh boy. Um, Eric Swalwell. You know Eric Swalwell, right? But for those of you who may not know him, because he really was big news in 2015, let me catch you up a little bit. He's basically spent his whole adult life um, in elected office. He is currently running for governor of California, and he was Nancy Pelosi's lap boy. Eric did everything that Pelosi and company told him to do. He was being groomed to like Gavin Newsom, like Kamala Harris, like so many others. He was being groomed by the California Democrat machine to uh, to keep power in the hands of Democrats. Well, back in 2015, we found out that Eric Swalwell was having an affair with the woman who was his fundraiser and who spent a lot of time helping him to get elected. Her name was Fang Fang. And it turns out that Fang Fang was a Chinese spy. So when the lid blew up off of on the whole thing, it was Obama who was in control. And basically, Eric claimed to have zero knowledge of Fang Fang's Genesis, and that she was a spy. And he cooperated with Obama's FBI. And we never really heard more about Fang Fang. What happened to her? Swalwell remained in Congress, but Fang Fang kind of just disappeared. There was no public trials, no public scrutiny, but a lot of us thought that he should have been removed from office by Congress because when you're sleeping with a Chinese spy and she has access to all your fundraising lists, there's a problem there. But we all know that, right? California has an issue with being very friendly with the Chinese, whether it was Gavin Newsom receiving Xi Jinping and cleaning up the streets of all the homeless, not for the people of California or Los Angeles, but for the uh, dictator of China. Okay, so that's who Swalwell is. Now, Swalwell was running or is running for governor in a very, very crowded field of Democrats. But he received the endorsements of Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, of Nancy Pelosi, of Newsom, of so many other people. Turns out that, I guess, similar to what happened to Donald Trump with E. Jean Carroll, um, all of a sudden a scandal breaks out. A scandal with the staffers in his office, who, by the way, in order for you to work for Eric Swalwell, you have to sign an NDA, a non disclosure agreement. Not a I am not a spy under penalty of treason or anything else, but an NDA. I will not tell you anything that goes on in this office. A real patriotic thing to do, right? And one that's very, very weird, if you ask me, when it comes to a congressperson. Well, anyway, all of a sudden this information comes out, similar to Cuomo, right, when he was in office. um, and these women are saying that he used a date rape drug and took inappropriate actions with him. So now that I've given you the kind of background, you should also know that several days ago there was buzz going on about Swalwell, and it came out right after or right around the same time the FBI announced that Swalwell, they were going to release the Fang Fang files. So listen to this. This is with respect to Fang Fang.
Congressman, you were also removed by Republicans from the Intelligence Committee. What the Speaker said about you is that beginning in 2012, a suspected Chinese spy developed ties to you and to your office, even put an intern there, raised campaign funds for you. You say very clearly you cut off ties with this person back in 2015 when you found out you cooperated with the FBI. But the bottom line question is this. Did you put yourself in a vulnerable position in any way so that this alleged Chinese spy could have benefited or even learn American secrets?
Yeah, absolutely not. But Dana, don't take my word for it. Take the FBI's word for it. They never talk about ongoing investigations. And former Chairman Schiff knows this as a member of the Gang of Eight. 3 different times they came out and said 2 things. All I did was help them, and also I was never under any suspicion of wrongdoing.
The question is, how am I viewing this? Look, I'm not going to be distracted. My job is to be the CEO of lowering costs. So the people behind me who work their asses off every day, that the bargain and the benefit they get out of it is they do better for themselves and they dream bigger for their kids. But right now in California, people are scared and prices are high. Californians are running through the fields and factories where they work. Women are being dragged by their hair and thrown into unmarked vans. Troops are in our streets. Federal research dollar that's supposed to go to UCSF to find cures for cancer has been canceled. We need a governor who can be a fighter and a protector. That's why they're targeting me. I'm the only name in the race that they know, the only one that they're threatened by. Because we promised to continue what Governor Newsom has done, which is to be a fighter, protector for Californians, and to focus and not be distracted on the number one job, which this president told us he would do on day one, which is to lower the costs. Thank you so much.
That was an interesting press conference. So he's saying as governor, he's going to stop people from being dragged, migrants he's talking about, illegal migrants, from being dragged off their jobs, and women dragged in the streets by their hair. And he's going to get the funding back for all the things that the president cut. And then he says he's going to be a governor like Newsom. Well, all those things that are happening, that he's claiming are happening under Newsom. So do you really want a governor like Newsom if all these things that you're pretending are happening is happening under Newsom? It was the craziest press conference, but it doesn't shock me because he is kind of weird. You saw the posts and the videos he put out during COVID. You saw his campaign ads, which are really weird. So something's not right with Eric Swalwell. Well, we're going to talk some more about it. But first, I want to say hello to everybody. Hello, Kevin. How are you from the other side of the world, but the same side of the issues? And Francine's with us. Happy Sunday, Francine. Happy Sunday to you, Andrew Dorman, and to my sissy, Colleen. How are you, darling? And to Susan DeRema. You know, what we talked about on Friday, that the conversation about South America, Colleen sent me that clip. I know I had said that on Friday, but it really is a succinct clip. Says it so much better than I ever could. He likes Chinese and it's not the food. You're right. Did you notice that at that press conference, everybody there was Chinese? So I'm just not, it's not tracking for me. Karen, how are you from Michigan? Our OG Lucille Chavone's with us. Hello, Angela Recca. Yes, like Cuomo, do the globalist elite want someone else in there? Yeah, well, who could they possibly want in there? You know, actually, I didn't think to do this, but maybe I will during the next video clip. I'll pull up all the names that are running. But one of the names that are running is that woman. I think her name is Hobbs. I think that she is a council member right now. And you might remember we saw her during yelling at her staff, cursing and yelling, makes no sense whatsoever. So I don't know who they could want, but the Republicans doing pretty damn good. He's holding his own against the 8 people that are running for governor, including Swalwell. How are you, Kevin Young? Good to have you. Hi, Jeff. How are you? Good to have another patriot on the show. So, yeah, we'll look at who else is running. But anyway, so that's the Swalwell, the Fang Fang stuff. All right. So now it was buzzing all over Washington, D.C., that this was coming out. And it's not the first time that stuff like this has been coming out about Congress members, and both Republican and Democrat, by the way. And obviously, we have Bill Clinton and his 21-year-old intern, Monica. So this has been going on in Washington for a long time. But I want you to see, in case you haven't, Swalwell, the post that he put up himself, denying all of this. So here we go.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position. I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am. For over 20 years, I have served the public. As a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims. That's who I am and have always been. This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support, and I look forward to updating you very soon.
Okay, so that's, it's interesting, right? He was one of those who labeled the president as sleeping with underage women with the Epstein, even though he knew that wasn't so. He was one of those that kept calling for the release of the Epstein files. As a matter of fact, all those Democrats who called for the release of the Epstein files, they voted a very interesting way on a bill that Nancy Mace put forward, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But they didn't want the release of their names or the payouts that have been going on with taxpayer dollars to sexual assault victims at the hands of members of Congress. So it's all very, very interesting. Swalwell must be shitting his pants, liar with his pants on fire. Well, I think he is, because this is kind of checkmate a little bit for President Trump and Melania, our first lady, who came out swinging the other day saying that we need the Epstein victims to testify, and we should let them speak so that we see who's who. And everybody was questioning what she was doing and whether it made sense and was she out of her mind. But like I said, this has been going around DC, and I might have actually mentioned it last week sometime, but this has been going around DC for 2 weeks now. So yeah, stuff is happening. If he's such a good guy, why does he have to apologize to his wife? Well, over the Fang Fang stuff. So yeah, and you're right about that, Karen. We're presuming it's the Fang Fang stuff, but there's been other stuff, and we know there is. And it's very, very simple. These women are going to stand up and say he had us all sign an NDA, and that right there is problematic. All right, we're going to share the screen, and we're going to see who's running for office, because I think it was Colleen who asked who they want. So Xavier Becerra, Democrat from U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary and former California Attorney General. He's a Democrat. Chad Bianco, Republican, Riverside County Sheriff. I think, yeah, okay. I can't remember. Steve Hilton is now the Republican candidate. So I think Chad is gone. Fox News contributor and former advisor to conservative British Prime Minister David Cameron. Matt Mahan, Democrat, mayor of San Jose. Katie Porter, that's the one. Katie Porter. She's the one that was screaming at her staff and foul language all over the place. She's a congresswoman. I didn't even realize. Former U.S. representative representing Orange County. Tom Steyer, Democrat billionaire, entrepreneur, and former presidential candidate. I think we remember him. I think he was 2020 Steyer or 2016. Eric Swalwell, Tony Thurmond, Democrat, state superintendent of public instruction. Antonio Villaraigosa, former mayor of Los Angeles and former assembly speaker, and Betty Yee, Democrat, former state controller. So if I was to say who they wanted, I'd say it was between Yee and Villaraigosa. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's kind of what I think. Because, they're going to play, because there's so many Chinese who might vote Republican. They might run Yee. They might want Yee, but I don't know. I mean, really, the only one that we know is Katie Porter, because she's a freaking lunatic, and she made the headlines for being a lunatic. But who knows? All right. So what else? So I alluded to a bill that Nancy Mace had put forward. It was a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it on the show. And the vote was 354 to 60 to refer the bill to committee. Now, Nancy Mace introduced the bill, and what the bill stated was that she wanted it to be made public. All of the members of Congress that had settled sexual harassment charges and used taxpayer dollars to do so. And it came on the heels of a Republican, and now I forget his name, but we talked about it. His girlfriend set herself on fire. His employee set herself on fire because he was harassing her sexually. We don't know if they actually had sex. He's claiming they did, but her husband's saying no. But he was, the evidence that we have is him, and he's Texas. And the evidence that we had were text messages, him telling her, racy text messages. And apparently she couldn't take it anymore, and she had mental issues, set herself on fire. So the question the congressman maintains that they were having a love affair, and the husband maintains that they weren't, that he was just harassing her. And I think he's looking for a monetary settlement. But they want him gone, like they wanted George Santos gone, and they got him gone. So of all the people, the Democrats, right, aren't they supposed to believe every woman? Wasn't Swalwell one of those during the Kavanaugh proceedings who were basically saying, believe the women and don't defend and blah, 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 blah. Well, so he should just resign himself, no? Well, probably Porter, a crazy liberal woman, easier to control than like Hochul. Yeah, well, all right. Yeah, but I don't know. Does she win? Because there's already negatives out there. At the end of the day, I'm going to guess that this is a Neville Roy Singham call, because I think he pays them plenty of cash. And California is in bed with the CCP. We know that. So I'm going to guess it's Yee. It just makes sense. They need another one to infiltrate. I don't think Porter is controllable. I think she's too crazy. That's my 2 cents. But anyway, here's Nick Mace's bill. Listen.
The House has killed Nancy Mace's resolution that would have released congressional sexual misconduct and harassment reports, which came in response to the story we reported on earlier of Tony Gonzalez having an affair with an aide who took her own life. Mace forced a floor vote on her resolution directing the House Ethics Committee to make public all reports on allegations of congressional lawmakers and aides engaging in sexual misconduct or harassment. But in a 357 to 65 vote, the House voted to refer the Mace resolution to committee, which basically is a move that effectively kills the resolution.
I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics where you know it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. Yep. You guys all protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass it. Yeah, of course, we should subpoena all of this stuff. But just, I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this.
That was Anna Paulina Luna talking. And she, if you have ever seen any of her stuff, she is a gun-toting, horse-riding patriot of the extreme. And I agree with her 1,000,000%. And I am hoping now, so they referred Mace's bill to committee. They didn't kill it. They moved it to committee. Wouldn't it be interesting now to see if they could get it out of committee? Who's going to say no with this scandal brewing? Who? Tell me, who thinks they could be reelected? I mean, they did the Mace bill was a kind of a quiet vote, and it wasn't really, I mean, I don't even think Fox didn't cover it. I don't think Newsmax covered it. The only people that covered it were these influencer types. TYT is very, very left wing, very. And I watch it. I watch it all. I watch everything, so you don't have to. So I can bring you the information in a balanced way. So that was quiet. But now, what would happen if we all started demanding, especially the female members of Congress, in a bipartisan fashion? Although I don't think it should be limited to female members of Congress. I think it should be everybody. Because if we, and who knows? I don't know if there are female Congress members who are harassing, young men. Possible. Who knows? I think that we need to have everybody's claiming, I want the Epstein files. You got the Epstein files. The Democrats are like, where's the client list? Nobody had. They said it from the beginning. There was no client list. Why would he keep a client list? The client list was his people he was investing for. After that, what was his business? It was investments. That's it. That was his client list. And we know who those people were. But we do have a list of all of the money that was paid out to victims of sexual harassment at the hands of members of Congress. We know who those members of Congress are. We don't need to release the women's names or where, who the check was the payee, but we can list the members of Congress who said, pay them off and let's get going. And Emmer, in my opinion, to allow that to go the way it did, I got a problem with that. I don't care if he's a Republican. I got a problem with that. Let's see. I don't think every allegation should be public, but any that have evidence of settlement should be public. Well, and that's what the bill calls for. Only the ones that settled, not just claims. Only the ones that settled. And I think that that's valid. No one. I'm not sure. Oh, who would be elected? Right. No one. So what do you all think? I think that this is this is the talkers should get our asses in gear. And if somebody has a different point of view, I'd love to hear why. I mean, I think Colleen brought up a good point. You don't want just claims. That's why also the first lady said, let's have the victims come to a congressional hearing where they're sworn in and they have to make their statements under oath. This just claims, destroys lives. That's too much. It's too much for me, for sure. I've always said that. I don't believe that statement. Oh, if the woman claims it, you got to believe her. No, that's bullshit. There's plenty of women out there that would lie for anything, and plenty of women who would willingly sleep with somebody to get somewhere and then get pissed off when it doesn't happen. We saw that. I mean, I'm sorry. This whole Bill Cosby stuff, that really pisses me off. I don't know that happened the way they say it happened. The Cuomo stuff, I don't think that was so. I don't think Cuomo was, sexually harassing women. I know him. I just, is he Italian? Yes. Sexually harassing women? No, he could have got anyone he wanted. He was single. He still is single. I mean, like Trump was single. When he was single, he dated a lot of women, got a lot of people, to sleep with. Cuomo's the same way. But they decided to, burn him. I don't like it. Hello, McMurray. How are you feeling? I hope you're well. Not that you could really understand it by hello all, but you sound good. It sounded like all allegations in the video. No, and I'm sorry, I clipped it. I have the Maze video, but it's 3 hours of a lot of legal jargon. You could look it up, the bill. It was only those that were paid out, and it would protect the women or the victims' names. So that's it. Hello, Ramon. I am good, thank you. Yes, he's in big trouble, and like I said, I'm dying to see those FBI files because that was big shit. I mean, that was big shit. Do I believe that we have spies in Congress right now? 100%. And I believe the other one is the biggest spy that we have right now is Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and AOC. I think all of them are spies. And I think they all should have been removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee and other sensitive committees. But now I think it's time that we remove predators, especially when we had to use our taxpayer dollars to pay them off. I think we have a right to know who they are. Don't you? Colleen says she agrees as long as the victims are protected and that it's only for the ones that have been paid off or settled. Okay, so Anna Paulina Luna, tomorrow, big day, and we'll talk about it some more if anything actually happens. But listen to what she has to say.
So on Friday, I had my staff initiate the process and set the process to file motions for expulsions for multiple members of Congress, both Democrat and Republican. And I think even though Democrats and Republicans might have ideological differences, I think we should be able to all agree on the basics that maybe if you're, sexually harassing or assaulting or have issues of domestic violence or you're stealing funds from FEMA, maybe you should not be in Congress, right? Like maybe it's time for you to go home and figure those issues out, not on taxpayer dollars. So yes, I am going to be bringing forward the motion to expel Eric Swalwell next week. And I think that this is going to trigger other motions. And you know what? Bring it. It's time. This is way overdue. I think that this is just the bare minimum that we can deliver for the American people is not tolerate public corruption in the House of Representatives. This is not rocket science. This is basic 101. Most people go to jail over this. So it's time for these people to go. So yes, I'll be voting to expel members of Congress. And I hope my colleagues join me. We need 2/3 of the vote.
Okay, so she's pushing on Swalwell, not so much on Gonzalez. The thing about Gonzalez is that he's claiming they were having an affair. The husband's claiming they weren't. I don't know why you would set yourself on fire if you weren't guilty of the affair. You know what I mean? She could have. I don't know that I would take my life over, well, I would never take my life, but you know what I'm saying is like that's an extreme situation or extreme response to your boss sexually harassing you. But I don't know what was in her mind, but at any rate, I think that what she said, it will trigger other motions. Yeah, the other motion is the Nancy Mace bill. So let's see what you all have to say. We're already over, but I want to hear your thoughts. I agree. I believe the Middle Easterners are spies also. Yeah. Anna Paulina Luna is laying down the facts because these types of activities shouldn't be tolerated in Congress. They shouldn't be tolerated anywhere, right? But if the Democrats, want to make such a big fucking deal about it, how come we didn't see all 200 or 190, however many Democrats there are in Congress, voting to stop it from going to committee? You know what I mean? Why didn't they block it? Because there were plenty of Republicans that voted to release the bill, including Mace. There was enough to let it be voted on the floor, but they all decided to protect each other and not the victims. So don't tell me you're about women, and don't give me any bullshit about Trump being a pedophile or a rapist or any of this stuff, or convicted felon. Because by the way, just I want to speak on, and then Colleen, I'll get to your comment. I'll put it up. I want to just say something about Trump being a convicted felon. Did you see that in New York City, a police officer who was trying to stop a recidivist, this guy was riding motorcycles, was stealing stuff from people, was harassing people on the motorcycle, and been arrested many times before, a moped or scooter or something. It could go fast. And he had run into one of the cops, and he was coming down the street. So the cop took a cooler and threw the cooler in the street. The criminal hit the cooler, lost control, hit another car, and died. But he was trying to stop him without doing a high-speed chase through the streets. The cop was just sentenced to 9 years in prison for that action. What's the problem there? The problem is that the district attorney decided to bring charges for that, even though the cop never had a problem in his life, in his career. And a jury of 12 convicted the cop of that, of murder, of manslaughter. A cop in New York City. So don't tell me that Trump got any fair trial from anyone, because in New York City, there's no such thing. They just do what they want to do. Even if you're having an affair, it's sexual harassment if the person you are having it with has power over your position. Agreed. 100% agreed. But what I'm saying is that there are unwanted advances, and then there are mutual. We'll never know in the Gonzalez thing which one it was, unless there was payoffs from. There were other complaints about Gonzalez. I'm not erasing the Gonzalez thing. I'm saying that Swalwell has living people who have made complaints against him, and they're around to testify. The Gonzalez situation, we don't have that person. Maybe we have others. And that's why I'm saying that Anna Paulina's call to remove Swalwell immediately makes a lot of sense. Gonzalez said he was having a mutual affair with the woman. Is it wrong? Yes. But we've seen that happen before, right? Where, bosses and their subordinates wind up having an affair, and it's mutual, and they wind up getting married. That's all I'm saying. But thanks for pointing that out, Cal. Corruption is everywhere. It's also both sides of the aisle, right? I'd rather see that than the Epstein files. We have all the Epstein files are out there. What more could there possibly be? It can be considered duress. It could be. That whole Trump is a felon is nothing but a distraction. It's just another way for them to tar and feather the president, because they are throwing a tantrum. I heard 3 people got hacked with a machete in Grand Central. Yes, they did. Let's see what happens to them. Right? How many people did Bragg not prosecute? But the cop they prosecute. That's insane to charge the cop. Yep. If the kid hit a citizen, they'd be screaming that the cops didn't shoot him. The kid did hit citizens many, many times. That was the problem. And that's why the cops were chasing him. But they're prohibited from chasing through the streets now in New York. So the cop did what he thought he could do, right? It's no different than, I guess, putting the chain with the spikes in the street. Sometimes bad shit happens. But if you were not engaging in criminal activity, bad shit wouldn't happen. Yes, there were so many fraudulent legal cases against Trump. Not just Trump. It's like, remember how the South was back in the day? And then if you were black, you got automatically convicted. Now it's going the other way. Now it's if you are a minority or a legal immigrant, chances are you're not even going to get charges brought. But if you are somebody in power, a billionaire, or you're a law enforcement, you're going to get charged. That's the upside down world of New York and the Socialist Democrats. Criminals always get away with everything. This is why Democrats need to be forced out of office. I don't know that you could just do that. I'm a law and order chick, Kevin, and I know that there are ways to get what needs to be done, but I'm always cautious, because if we use a certain thing on the Democrats, if the fickle people of America decide to put a Democrat in office, they'll use it right back on us. Look at what happened with the redistricting. Gerrymandering has been going on in every state, everywhere, all the time. One time, right, the governor of Texas, Abbott, decides that he's going to redistrict off year. And there was a reason for it. It was a Supreme Court decision that caused him to do it. And all of the Democrat states decide to redistrict and then blame us. Ridiculous. Cop that threw the cooler was during a drug bust, I think. It was, he was the guy. He'd been through the system many, many times. The guy that died. Airbags for mopeds. Okay, right. Oh my gosh. Only Mamdani is the biggest criminal and a crooked politician. Yeah, well, a socialist Democrat. Sexual harassment can lead and come from other kinds of criminal behavior. Yes, you're both right. I did not want to make it sound like I was downplaying Gonzalez. I was saying that unless we know if he had been charged before, we don't have anybody to speak. But we have people to speak against Swalwell, and we have a list. So that's even more reason, because she's not alive in her name, his intern's name, we should be passing Mace's bill. That's what I mean. Big uproar in Virginia on gerrymandering. Governor lied during campaign. Yeah. And it's all coming out. The bad thing that happened today was Viktor Orban in Hungary was voted out of office. That worries me greatly. He's been a friend to America, and he was stopping the illegal immigration. Now all of a sudden, the people in Hungary were very, very happy with Orban. Now suddenly they're not. I'm not sure what happened there. Pennsylvania was redistricted and was several times. All of it was bullshit. Listen, the gerrymandering has been going on forever. But, they tried to get Nicole Malliotakis out, the single Republican in the city of New York. How does that make sense? So I can't with the hypocrisy. All right. Of course, we're over. I thought we'd end on time. Love you all. Thank you. Start of a new week. Lots to talk about. We'll talk about Hormuz and Trump and lots of other things tomorrow on Monday at 8:00. Thanks for joining me. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, we're on Spotify. So look for Let's Talk News on Spotify. and you can listen while you work or whatever else. And I hope my voice is not too annoying for Spotify. But if you have Spotify, please go and follow me over there. That would be very, very helpful. And remember to tell your friends to follow us over at YouTube, because YouTube is giving me a big FU again. It took them 6 years to catch up with me, but yeah, they're slowing my shit down again. And we just need 129 more people to hit that magic 1,000. Love you all. Talk to you tomorrow.